The smoke rose high into the purple sky of Velos. Corporal Park Tae-ho pressed his back against a broken wall and listened. Somewhere in the burning town, enemy soldiers were still moving. He could hear their heavy boots on the stone streets. Tae-ho was a medic. He carried bandages and medicine, not big weapons. His unit had been separated during the surprise attack. The Krath forces had come fast and hard. They hit the small Veloci border town without warning. Now buildings burned and people ran and screamed. He needed to find his team. He needed to get out of this place. But something made him stop. It was a small sound. A cry. Not human, not adult. It came from a pile of broken stones that used to be a house. Tae-ho moved without thinking. He crossed the open street and reached the rubble. His hands began to dig. The stones were heavy, but he moved them fast. The crying got louder. Under the broken pieces of a wooden door, he found her. She was a Veloci cub. Maybe 4 years old by human counting. Her fur was gray and white, covered in dust. Her large eyes were round and wet with tears. She had 4 small arms and they were wrapped around herself in fear. The Veloci were a peaceful species. They looked like a mix between a cat and a small bear. They had soft fur and gentle faces. They were not fighters. They were farmers and artists and teachers. The Krath Empire had been pushing into their territory for years. The cub looked up at Tae-ho. She was shaking. A cut on her head was bleeding blue blood into her fur. Tae-ho knelt down slowly. He did not want to scare her more than she already was. "Hey there," he said softly. "I am not going to hurt you." The cub did not understand his words, but she seemed to understand his voice. She stopped crying for a moment. Tae-ho reached into his medical bag. He pulled out a clean cloth and some healing gel. He moved very slowly. The cub watched his every move with her big eyes. "This might feel cold," he said. He gently cleaned the blood from her fur. Then he put the healing gel on her cut. The cub made a small sound but did not pull away. When he was done, she looked at him like he was something strange and new. An explosion shook the ground nearby. The cub screamed and reached for him. Her 4 small arms wrapped around his neck and she buried her face in his chest. Tae-ho held her. He could feel her tiny heart beating very fast against him. She was so small, so scared. "Okay," he whispered. "Okay. I have got you." He stood up with the cub in his arms. She weighed almost nothing. He held her against his left side, supporting her with one arm. His right hand stayed free. Voices came from the next street. Krath soldiers. They were speaking in their rough language. Tae-ho could not understand the words, but he understood the tone. They were hunting. He moved into the shadow of a half-fallen building. The cub was quiet now. She seemed to understand that she needed to be silent. Her small hands gripped his uniform tight. Tae-ho looked around. The main streets were not safe. Krath patrols were everywhere. He needed another way. He remembered the old mining tunnels. During his first week on Velos, the locals had shown him the tunnel system under the town. The Veloci had dug them long ago to mine precious stones. Most tunnels were closed now, but some were still open. The nearest entrance was 3 blocks away. 3 blocks through a burning town, full of enemy soldiers. Tae-ho took a deep breath. He looked down at the cub. She looked back at him with complete trust in her eyes. "We are going to move now," he said quietly. "Stay quiet for me. Can you do that?" She did not understand his words, but she nodded anyway. "Smart little thing." He moved. The first block was easy. The buildings provided cover. Tae-ho moved from shadow to shadow. The cub stayed perfectly still against his chest. She barely breathed. The second block was harder. A Krath patrol passed close by. Tae-ho pressed himself into a doorway and held his breath. The cub closed her eyes tight. The soldiers walked past without seeing them. The third block almost killed them. Tae-ho turned a corner and found himself face to face with a Krath scout. The alien was tall and covered in thick green scales. His eyes went wide when he saw the human. Tae-ho did not think. He moved. His free hand shot forward. He grabbed the scout by the throat before the alien could make a sound. He squeezed. The scout struggled, but Taeho was strong. In 6 seconds, the scout went limp. Taeho lowered the body to the ground quietly. His heart was racing, but his hands were steady. The cub had not made a single sound. She just watched him with those big eyes. "Sorry you had to see that," he whispered. The tunnel entrance was just ahead. It was a small door in the side of a rocky hill. Taeho reached it and pulled the door open. Darkness waited inside. He stepped in and closed the door behind them. The tunnel was dark and cold. Taeho pulled out a small light from his belt and turned it on. The walls were rough stone. The air smelled old and dusty. He walked deeper into the tunnel. The cub was getting heavy in his arm, but he did not put her down. He would not put her down. After 10 minutes of walking, he found a small room off the main tunnel. It was dry and empty. A good place to rest and think. Taeho sat down against the wall. The cub finally relaxed her grip on him. She looked around the small room with curious eyes. "We should be safe here for a little while," Taeho said. He reached into his bag and found a nutrition bar. He broke off a small piece and offered it to the cub. She sniffed it carefully. Then she took it with one of her small hands and put it in her mouth. Her eyes went wide. She liked it. Taeho smiled. "Good, right?" He gave her more. She ate quickly. She must have been very hungry. While she ate, Taeho tried to think. His communicator was broken. He could not call for help. The town above was full of enemy soldiers. The nearest human base was 50 kilometers away. He looked at the cub. She had finished eating and was now looking at him. She made a soft sound. It sounded almost like a word. "What is your name?" Taeho asked. The cub tilted her head. Then she pointed at herself and made a sound. "Miri." Taeho smiled. "Miri. That is a pretty name. I am Taeho." Miri tried to say his name. It came out wrong and funny. Taeho laughed softly. Miri made a sound that might have been a laugh too. Then they both heard it. Footsteps. Many footsteps. Coming down the tunnel. Taeho grabbed Miri and pressed against the wall. He turned off his light. The darkness swallowed them. The footsteps got closer. Voices echoed off the stone walls. Krath voices. They had found the tunnel. Taeho held Miri tight. His jaw was set hard. His eyes adjusted to the darkness. They were coming, and there was nowhere left to run. Taeho counted the footsteps in the darkness. 6 pairs of boots. No, more than that. At least 10, maybe 12. Too many. Miri trembled against his chest. He put his hand on her back and rubbed gently. He hoped she could feel that he was not afraid. Even if he was, the Krath soldiers moved through the tunnel with lights on their weapons. The beams cut through the darkness like white knives. They were searching carefully. They knew someone was down here. Taeho looked at the small room where they were hiding. There was only one way in and one way out. If the soldiers found this room, there would be no escape. He had to move. Slowly, very slowly. He stood up. Miri wrapped her arms around his neck again. She did not make a sound. This little cub understood danger better than some trained soldiers Taeho had known. There was another tunnel on the far side of the main passage. Taeho remembered seeing it on the old maps the Veloci had shown him. It went deeper into the mines. Maybe it connected to another exit. He waited until the light beams moved away from his position. Then he moved. His boots were soft on the stone floor. He had learned to walk without sound during his training. Back on Earth, he had practiced for months until his instructors could not hear him coming. Now that training might save his life and the life of this small cub. He reached the main tunnel and pressed against the wall. The Krath soldiers were behind him now, still searching the other direction. The second tunnel was just 10 meters ahead. Taeho moved like a shadow. 8 meters, 5 meters, 2 meters. A Krath soldier stepped out of the darkness right in front of him. They stared at each other for half a second. The soldier opened his mouth to shout. Taeho drove his palm into the soldier's throat. The shout turned into a choke. He grabbed the soldier's head and twisted hard. The neck snapped with a dull crack, but it was too late. Another soldier had seen. "Human!" the Krath screamed. "There is a human here!" The tunnel exploded with light and noise. Soldiers ran toward him from both directions. Their boots thundered on the stone. Their weapons hummed as they powered up. Taeho ran. He sprinted into the second tunnel with Miri bouncing against his chest. Behind him, the Krath soldiers followed. They were fast, but he was faster. His legs pumped hard. His lungs burned. The tunnel twisted and turned. Taeho took every corner at full speed. He did not know where he was going. He just knew he had to keep moving. Then the tunnel ended. Taeho stopped so fast he almost fell. In front of him was a solid wall of rock. A cave-in had blocked the passage. Old stones and dirt filled the tunnel from floor to ceiling. He turned around. The only way out was the way he came in, and the Krath soldiers were already there. They came around the final corner with their weapons raised. One by one they filled the tunnel. Taeho counted them as they appeared. 3, 5, 8, 10, 12. 12 Krath soldiers stood between him and freedom. Each one was tall and strong. Each one had scales like armor. Each one held a weapon pointed at his chest. The lead soldier stepped forward. He was bigger than the others. His scales were darker. "A commander." "Put down the cub," the commander said in broken galactic common. "Put down, and maybe we let you live." Miri heard the voice and whimpered. Her small hands gripped Taeho's uniform so tight he could feel her little claws through the fabric. She was shaking hard. Taeho looked at the 12 soldiers. He looked at their weapons. He looked at the dead end behind him. The math was bad. The situation was worse. A normal person would have surrendered. A smart person would have tried to negotiate. A hopeless person would have given up. Taeho was none of those things. He adjusted his grip on Miri. He made sure she was secure against his left side. His left arm wrapped around her completely. She was not going to fall. She was not going to touch the ground. His right hand moved to his belt. His fingers found his combat blade. He drew it slowly. The metal made a soft sound as it left the sheath. The Krath soldiers looked at the knife. Then they looked at each other. Some of them laughed. A few made sounds that might have been jokes in their language. The commander did not laugh. He was looking at Taeho's eyes. He saw something there that made his smile disappear. "What are you doing, human?" the commander asked. "You have one little knife. We have 12 guns. You cannot win." Taeho shifted his weight. He bent his knees slightly. His body fell into a stance that his combat trainers had made him practice 10,000 times. "I do not need to win," Taeho said. His voice was flat and calm. "I just need to make sure this cub stays safe. If you want her, you will have to go through me." The commander tilted his head. "You will die for an alien child? She is not even your species. Why do you care?" Taeho looked down at Miri. She was looking up at him. Her big eyes were full of fear, but also something else. Trust. Complete and total trust. He had known this little cub for less than an hour. He did not know anything about her except her name. She was not human. She was not his family. She was just a scared little child who had lost everything, and that was enough. "She is scared," Taeho said simply. "She needs someone to protect her. Right now, that someone is me." The commander stared at him for a long moment. Then he shook his head. "Humans," he said. "You are all crazy." He raised his hand. The soldiers lifted their weapons higher. "Last chance," the commander said. "Put down the cub." Taeho's answer was to grip his knife tighter. The commander sighed. "Kill him. Take the cub alive. The Empire pays well for Veloci children." The words hit Taeho like ice water. They wanted to sell Miri. They wanted to take this little girl and sell her like cargo. Like property. Something changed in Taeho's chest. The fear went away. The doubt went away. Everything went away. Except one single thought. They were not going to touch her. The first soldier fired his weapon. The energy bolt flew toward Taeho's chest. He moved. One moment he was standing still. The next moment he was not where the bolt was going. The energy beam hit the rock wall behind him and exploded in a shower of sparks. Taeho was already moving forward. The soldiers had expected him to dodge backward. They had expected him to run. They had not expected him to charge directly at 12 armed enemies while holding a child with one arm. That was their first mistake. Their second mistake was thinking that one human with a knife was not dangerous. Taeho reached the first soldier before the alien could fire again. His blade moved in a silver arc. The soldier fell. The other soldiers tried to aim at him. But Taeho was too close now. If they fired, they might hit each other. They hesitated. That hesitation cost them everything. Taeho moved through them like water through rocks. His blade flashed again and again. Each strike was perfect. Each movement was smooth, and through it all, his left arm never moved. Miri stayed pressed against his chest. She stayed protected. She stayed safe. The commander watched his soldiers fall one by one. His face changed from confusion to fear to terror. This human was not normal. This human was something else entirely. The commander raised his own weapon. His hand was shaking. Taeho turned to face him. Blood dripped from his knife. Bodies lay around him like fallen trees. He was not even breathing hard. "Please," the commander whispered. Taeho looked at him with cold eyes. He remembered what the commander had said. About selling children. About the Empire paying well. "No," Taeho said. He moved one final time. Then there were no more soldiers standing in the tunnel. Taeho stood alone among the bodies. His chest heaved. His knife was red. Miri was still in his arms. She looked up at him. She was not shaking anymore. She reached up with one small hand and touched his face. Her fingers were soft. "Taeho," she said. She had learned his name. He smiled at her. A real smile. A gentle smile. "Yeah," he said. "I am here. I am not going anywhere." He did not know that a camera had recorded everything. He did not know that the recording was about to change the entire galaxy. Right now, all he knew was that Miri was safe. And that was all that mattered. The old security camera had been installed 40 years ago. The Veloci had put it there to watch for tunnel collapses and cave-ins. It was supposed to help keep miners safe. The camera was small and dusty and almost forgotten, but it still worked. Its lens pointed down the tunnel at a perfect angle. It recorded everything in clear detail. Every second, every movement, every drop of blood. The footage would later be studied by military experts across 100 worlds. They would slow it down frame by frame. They would write reports and papers about what they saw, but none of them would fully understand it, because what happened in that tunnel was not supposed to be possible. The recording begins with the human standing at the dead end. He holds a small Veloci cub against his chest with his left arm. His right hand holds a combat knife. The blade is about 20 centimeters long. 12 Krath soldiers fill the tunnel in front of him. They have energy weapons. They have armor. They have numbers. The human has nothing except his knife and his will. The Krath commander speaks. His words are picked up by the camera microphone. He tells the human to put down the cub. He says they will let him live. The human does not move. More words are exchanged. The camera shows the human's face. There is no fear there. There is no doubt. There is only cold determination. Then the commander gives the order to kill. The first soldier fires. Military experts would later calculate the speed of a Krath energy bolt at 400 meters per second. At a distance of 5 meters, that gives a target less than 1/100th of a second to react. The human reacts. His body shifts to the left. The bolt passes where his chest was a moment before. He has already started moving forward before the bolt even reaches the wall behind him. The soldiers do not expect this. They expect prey behavior. Running. Hiding. Surrender. They do not expect a charge. The human covers the 5 meters in less than 2 seconds. His movement is smooth and controlled. His feet barely seem to touch the ground. The cub in his arm does not bounce or shift. He holds her perfectly still even as he runs. The first soldier tries to fire again. He is too slow. The human's knife enters his throat before his finger can pull the trigger. The human does not stop moving. He pulls the knife out and continues forward in the same motion. Soldiers 2 and 3 stand next to each other. They raise their weapons. But the human is between them now. If they fire, they will hit each other. They hesitate for half a second. That is too long. The human's knife takes Soldier 2 across the neck. In the same movement, he drives his elbow into Soldier 3's face. The soldier's head snaps back. Before he can recover, the knife finds his chest. 3 soldiers down in less than 4 seconds. The remaining 9 soldiers begin to spread out. They are trying to create distance. They are trying to find angles where they can shoot without hitting each other. The human does not let them. He moves to Soldier 4 before the alien can take 2 steps. His knife cuts low, taking out the soldier's leg. As the soldier falls, the human grabs his weapon and throws it at Soldier 5. The heavy gun hits the soldier in the face. He stumbles backward. The human finishes Soldier 4 with a quick strike. Then he is moving again. Soldier 6 fires his weapon. The human twists his body. The bolt passes so close, it burns a line across his uniform. But it does not hit him. It does not hit the cub. The human reaches Soldier 6 and opens his throat. The camera shows something remarkable at this point. Throughout all of this violence, the human's left arm has not moved from the cub. She is pressed against his chest. Her face is buried in his uniform. She cannot see what is happening. He is killing with one hand while protecting her with the other. Soldiers 7 and 8 attack together. They have dropped their guns and pulled out blades of their own. Krath soldiers are strong. They are fast. 2 of them at once should be overwhelming. The human meets them without slowing down. His knife blocks the first strike. His body moves around the second. He kicks Soldier 7 in the knee. The joint bends the wrong way. As Soldier 7 falls, the human catches Soldier 8's arm and breaks it at the elbow. Soldier 8 screams. The human silences him permanently. Soldier 7 tries to crawl away. He does not get far. 8 soldiers down. 4 remain. The remaining soldiers are scared now. The camera shows it clearly in their faces. They have never seen anything like this human. They have never imagined anything like this human. Soldier 9 turns and runs. He does not get 3 steps before the human's thrown knife catches him in the back. The human is now without a weapon. 3 soldiers still stand. He does not slow down. Soldier 10 swings his blade in a wide arc. The human ducks under it. He comes up inside the soldier's guard and drives his palm into the alien's chin. The soldier's teeth crack together. His eyes roll back. He falls. The human catches the soldier's knife before it hits the ground. Soldier 11 fires his weapon from close range. There is no room to dodge. The human does something impossible. He steps forward instead of back. The bolt passes behind him. He is inside the soldier's reach before the alien can adjust his aim. The borrowed knife finds its mark. 1 soldier left. The commander. The camera shows the commander's face. He is terrified. His hands shake. His scales have gone pale. He has just watched a single human destroy his entire squad in less than 30 seconds. He raises his weapon. His aim is unsteady. The human walks toward him. There is no rush now. Each step is slow and deliberate. Blood drips from the knife in his hand. Bodies lay scattered behind him. The commander whispers something. The microphone picks it up. A single word. Please. The human stops in front of him. For a moment, nothing moves. The tunnel is silent, except for the breathing of 2 enemies. Then the human speaks. His voice is calm. You wanted to sell her. You wanted to take this child and sell her like she was nothing. The commander does not answer. He cannot answer. Fear has stolen his voice. The human raises his knife. That was a mistake. The commander dies without making a sound. The human stands alone in the tunnel. He is covered in blood. Some of it is his own from small cuts and scratches. Most of it belongs to the 12 soldiers who lay around him. He looks down at the cub in his arm. She is still pressed against his chest. Her eyes are closed. She has kept them closed through the entire fight. He shifts his grip on her gently. He strokes her fur with the hand that still holds the knife. His touch is soft. Careful. Like he is holding something precious. It is over, he says quietly. You are safe now. The cub opens her eyes. She looks up at him. Then she looks around at the tunnel. She sees the bodies. She sees the blood. She does not scream. She does not cry. She just wraps her arms around his neck and holds on tight. The human holds her back. He closes his eyes for a moment. When he opens them again, they are wet. Then he starts walking. He steps over the bodies. He moves back toward the main tunnel. He needs to find another way out. Behind him, the old security camera continues to record. It watches the human disappear into the darkness, with the cub in his arms. The recording is 17 minutes and 33 seconds long. The actual fight lasted 41 seconds. 41 seconds that would change everything. The camera kept recording for another 3 hours before its memory was full. The recording sat in the camera's storage for 2 days. Then a Veloci rescue team found the tunnel. They found the bodies, they found the camera, and they found a story that would spread across the entire galaxy. The video went online on a small Veloci news channel. A local reporter named Hannah was the first to broadcast it. She worked for a tiny station that covered farming news and local events. She had never reported on anything important in her life. That changed in one night. The rescue team had given her the footage because no one else wanted it. The big stations were busy covering the war. They did not care about some old mining tunnel. They did not care about 12 dead Krath soldiers. They would care soon. Hannah watched the footage alone in her small office. By the end, she was crying. Her hands were shaking when she uploaded it to the Galactic Network. She titled it simply, "Human Fights 12 Soldiers. One handheld child. Other handheld bodies." In the first hour, the video got 1,000 views. Most of them were from Veloci citizens. They shared it with their friends and family. They left comments about the brave human who saved the little cub. In the second hour, it got 100,000 views. Other species had started watching. They shared it too. The number kept climbing. By the end of the first day, 50 million beings had watched the video. By the end of the first week, the number was in the billions. Every species in the known galaxy saw the footage. They watched it on screens big and small. They watched it in homes and offices and ships traveling between stars. They watched it over and over again, and they talked about what they saw. On the Kirashi homeworld, a group of warrior priests gathered to study the video. The Kirashi were considered the greatest fighters in the galaxy. They had trained for combat since birth. They had conquered dozens of worlds with their skills. They watched the human move through 12 soldiers in 41 seconds. The eldest priest spoke first. "We have been wrong about humans," he said slowly. "We thought they were soft. We thought they were weak. We were fools." The other priests nodded. They had seen the truth with their own eyes. The human's movements were perfect. His speed was unreal. His control was absolute. "How is this possible?" a young priest asked. "Humans are not warriors. They are traders and diplomats. They talk about peace." The eldest priest shook his head. "No. They choose peace. There is a difference. This video shows us what happens when they choose something else." On a trade station in neutral space, a group of merchants from different species watched the video together. They were rivals in business. They competed against each other for contracts and profits. But tonight, they all watched in silence. A Malari trader spoke first. She was old and had seen many things in her long life. "I do not understand," she said. "The child is not human. Why would he risk his life for her?" Her Venari competitor answered. "Humans are strange," he said. "They form attachments quickly. They care about things that are not logical." "That is not an answer," the Malari said. "Caring about something does not make you fight like that. Look at him. Look at how he moves. He is not fighting to survive. He is fighting to protect. There is a difference." A young Korathi merchant had been watching the video again on his personal screen. He looked up with wide eyes. "Did you see his face?" he asked. "During the fight. His face never changes. He is completely calm." They all looked again. The young Korathi was right. Throughout the entire battle, the human's expression stayed the same. Cold, focused, determined. That is not the face of a man who is afraid to die, the Molari said quietly. That is the face of a man who has already accepted death. He does not care about himself. He only cares about the child. The merchants looked at each other. They had all done business with humans before. They had thought they understood the species. Now, they were not sure. On the Veloci homeworld, the reaction was different. The video spread through every city and village like fire through dry grass. People gathered in public squares to watch it on giant screens. They wept openly as they saw one of their cubs being saved. A memorial was built in the town where the attack happened. It showed a human figure holding a small Veloci cub in one arm. The other arm held a knife raised high. Flowers covered the ground around it within hours. The cub in the video was identified. Her name was Miri. She was 4 years old. Her parents had both died in the attack. She had been alone in the rubble when the human found her. People wanted to know more about the human. They searched for information. They found his name. Park Tae-ho. A medic from Earth. 28 years old. Nothing special in his military record, just an ordinary soldier, or so they thought. The video reached Earth 3 days after it went online. Humans watched it too. They shared it with their families. They talked about it at work and at school. But humans reacted differently than other species. Other species were amazed. Humans were proud. An old retired general watched the video in his home. His grandson sat next to him. The grandson was 12 years old and wanted to be a soldier when he grew up. "Is that real?" the grandson asked. "Can humans really fight like that?" The general smiled. "Every human can fight like that," he said. "When there is something worth protecting, that is what makes us different from most species. We do not fight because we enjoy it. We fight because someone needs us to." But he was all alone, the grandson said. He had no backup. No support. Just a knife. The general nodded. That is often how it works. The universe does not wait for perfect conditions. Sometimes you have to do impossible things with what you have. The grandson was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "Would you have done the same thing? For an alien child?" The general did not hesitate. "Yes, in a heartbeat." That little girl was scared and alone. Her species does not matter. Her planet does not matter. All that matters is that she needed help, and he was there to give it. The video reached the Galactic Council 5 days after it went online. The Council was the governing body for most of the known galaxy. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to discuss trade, and law, and war. They had never spent a full session discussing a single video before. The Krath representative demanded that the video be taken down. He called it propaganda. He said it was edited and fake. No one believed him. The human representative said very little. She did not need to. The video spoke for itself. Other representatives had questions. They wanted to understand humans better. They wanted to know if all humans could fight like the one in the video. The human representative smiled. "Corporal Park is not special," she said. "He is just a medic. An ordinary soldier. What you see in that video is not the work of some superhuman warrior. It is the work of a man who decided that a little girl was not going to die. Any human would have done the same." The chamber was silent. "You say any human," the Kirishi representative said slowly. "You have 8 billion people on your homeworld. Are you telling us that all of them would have done this?" The human representative looked at him steadily. "Give any one of them a child to protect," she said, "and you will find out." The video continued to spread. It was translated into hundreds of languages. It was shown in schools and military academies. It became part of the permanent record of galactic history, and somewhere, in a quiet hospital room on a human colony world, Corporal Park Tae-ho slept. His wounds were healing. The cub named Miri was curled up next to him in the bed. They did not know they were famous. They did not know they had changed everything. They just knew they were safe. 3 weeks after the video went online, the Galactic News Network requested an interview with Corporal Park Tae-ho. They had asked many times before. He had always said no. This time, he said yes. But only on one condition. Miri had to be with him. The interview took place in a small garden on the human colony world of New Haven. Tae-ho sat on a bench under a tree with pink flowers. Miri sat next to him. Her gray and white fur had been cleaned and brushed. The cut on her head had healed completely. She would not let go of his hand. The interviewer was a Venari named Bora. She was one of the most respected journalists in the galaxy. She had interviewed presidents and generals and kings, but she admitted later that she had never been more nervous than she was for this interview. "Thank you for agreeing to speak with us," Bora said. Her translator turned her words into sounds that both Tae-ho and Miri could understand. Tae-ho nodded. "Thank you for coming." Bora looked at Miri. The little cub was watching her with big, curious eyes. "And thank you, Miri, for joining us." Miri made a soft sound. She had learned some human words in the past weeks. "Hello," she said carefully. Her voice was small but clear. Bora smiled. Then she turned to Tae-ho. "The whole galaxy has seen the video. Billions of beings have watched you fight those soldiers. But I want to start with a simple question. Why?" Tae-ho was quiet for a moment. He looked down at Miri. She looked back up at him. Her small hand squeezed his larger one. "Why what?" Tae-ho asked. "Why did you risk your life for her?" Bora said. "You did not know her. You had never seen her before that day. She is not even your species. Most beings would have left her and saved themselves. Why did you stay?" Tae-ho thought about the question. He did not answer right away. The wind moved through the pink flowers above them. Petals fell like soft rain. "When I found her in that rubble," he said slowly. "She was so small, so scared. She had lost everything. Her home, her family, everything she knew was gone. And she was all alone." He paused. His eyes were looking at something far away. Something only he could see. "I could not leave her," he said. "I know that does not make sense to some species. I know that logic says I should have saved myself. One soldier is worth more than one child in military terms. I knew the math was bad. I knew I would probably die. But you stayed anyway," Bora said. "I stayed anyway," Tae-ho agreed. "Because she needed me. And that was enough." Bora leaned forward. "But why was it enough? Help me understand. Help the galaxy understand. What is it about humans that makes you willing to die for strangers?" Tae-ho was quiet again. Miri climbed into his lap. He wrapped his arms around her gently. She settled against his chest like she belonged there. "On Earth," he said, "we have a word. I do not know if it translates well. The word is empathy. It means feeling what someone else feels. When I looked at Miri, I did not see an alien. I did not see a different species. I saw a scared little girl who needed help." He looked down at Miri. She was playing with a button on his shirt. Her 4 small hands moved with curious energy. "I felt her fear," Tae-ho said. "I felt her loneliness. And I knew that I could not live with myself if I abandoned her. Death was better than that. At least if I died fighting, I would die knowing I tried." Bora was writing notes quickly. "The Galactic Council has asked about human military capabilities. They want to know if all humans can fight like you did. What would you say to them?" Tae-ho almost smiled. "Almost. I am just a medic," he said. "I fix people. I bandage wounds. I give medicine. Fighting is not what I do. But the video shows what any human can do when pushed far enough," Tae-ho interrupted. "I was not fighting because I am special. I was fighting because Miri needed me to fight. That is the secret that other species do not understand about humans. We are not naturally violent. We do not enjoy killing. But when someone we care about is threatened, something changes inside us." He looked directly at the camera. His eyes were steady. "We become something else," he said. Something that does not stop. Something that does not quit. Something that will do whatever is necessary to protect the ones we love. That is not training. That is not skill. That is just what humans are. Bora was silent for a moment. Then she asked the question that billions of beings wanted answered. What happens now? For you, and for Miri. Teho looked at the little cub in his arms. She had stopped playing with his button. She was looking up at him with those big eyes. Miri has no family left, Teho said. The Veloci authorities contacted me. They asked if I would be willing to be her guardian. Bora's eyes widened. And what did you say? Teho smiled. It was the first real smile he had shown during the entire interview. I said yes, he said. She is my daughter now. My family. Miri understood those words. Her face lit up with joy. She threw her forearms around his neck and hugged him tight. She made happy sounds that needed no translation. Teho hugged her back. His eyes were wet, but he did not care. That is the real answer to your question, he said over Miri's shoulder. You asked why I risked my life for her. The answer is that she was already family the moment I picked her up. I did not know it then, but I know it now. Family is not about blood, or species, or logic. Family is about choosing someone and fighting for them no matter what. The interview ended shortly after that. Bora thanked them both and left. She would later say it was the most important interview of her career. The footage of the interview spread across the galaxy just like the first video had, but this time, the reaction was different. This time, beings did not watch with amazement or fear, they watched with understanding. A Kirashi warrior watched the interview with his young daughter. When Miri hugged Teho, the warrior felt something strange in his chest. He looked at his own daughter. He understood now. He understood completely. A Malari grandmother watched with her grandchildren. She had always thought humans were strange and frightening. Now she saw them differently. Now she saw them as beings who would do anything to protect the young and the helpless. On the Veloci homeworld, the interview was broadcast on every screen. The people watched their cub, Miri, find a new family. They wept with joy. A human had saved one of their children, and now that human was going to raise her as his own. The memorial statue was updated. The human figure now had a face, Teho's face. And at his feet, words were carved in 100 languages. He came for her. He fought for her. He stayed for her. Years passed. Miri grew up. She became tall and strong. She learned both Veloci and human ways. She called Teho father in both languages. When she was old enough, she asked him about that day in the tunnel. She had seen the video many times, but she wanted to hear it from him. Teho told her the truth. All of it. The fear. The determination. The moment when he decided he would rather die than let them take her. Were you scared? She asked. Yes, he admitted. I was terrified, but you fought anyway. I fought anyway. Miri was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked, what if I had been a different species? What if I had been ugly or strange? Or something you had never seen before? Would you still have saved me? Teho put his hand on her shoulder. His eyes were soft and kind. Miri, he said. You could have had 8 legs and 10 eyes and scales instead of fur. It would not have mattered. You were a child who needed help. That is all I needed to know. Miri smiled. She had grown up hearing about what made humans special. She had read the books and watched the documentaries, but she had always known the truth better than any of them. Humans were not special because they were strong or smart or brave. Humans were special because they cared. They cared about children who were not their own. They cared about species they had never met. They cared about strangers on the other side of the galaxy, and when the ones they cared about were threatened, they became something that even the greatest warriors in the galaxy could not stop. Miri hugged her father tight. He hugged her back. Some beings in the galaxy still did not understand humans. They probably never would, but Miri understood. She had understood since the moment a human hand had reached through the rubble and pulled her into the light. Humans protect. That was the only answer that mattered.